Hi and welcome. My name is Grace, and this is the first in, I think it's going to have to be a series. I don't know. I don't think I'll get it all done today. I think I want to chunk it up into three parts on how to manifest the life that you need, how to manifest the life that you want, and the work that goes into it, and how to actually do it. Um, this is not like this is free. I'm not charging for this. All I'm asking though is as we go on with this, as things work out for you the way you set them out to work out. And I see that's the caveat. When we start from a certain point where let's say we're dissatisfied with our lives or we're dissatisfied whether it's our career or we don't have a job or where we live or the relationships we're in and all this stuff. From our starting point, we feel that everything is better than this. And what we think is better at this point in time, when we manifest it, when we get to point B from point A, which is here, we may want to tweak it, or we may feel like it's not exactly what we wanted. And that's okay. You can always course correct. You can always try it out and say, you know what, no, this is not what I wanted. And manifest something else for yourself. Okay, so I'm going to try to speak up a little louder. I just realized that I trailed off there. You can always manifest something new for yourself. So let's start with, this is like basic. This is installment 1. What do you need right now to get started to manifest the life that you want? I'll tell you what you need. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I personally have manifested everything that I set out to manifest. Realistic and unrealistic. But, like I didn't go from, oh, I want to win a lotto. You know what I mean? Well, I kind of did. And I did win the lotto in many aspects of my life. But I did not win the actual lottery, like big amount of money kind of thing. The next thing I want to point out is that there's certain things that are easier to manifest than others. And it'll surprise a lot of you to learn that money is the easiest thing to manifest. I know. You're sitting there going, oh my God, I'm so broke. How's that even possible? Money is the easiest thing to manifest because money's non-judgmental. You're not dealing with another person. You're dealing with an entity, a form of energy. That's why money's the easiest thing to manifest. Now, the kind of manifestation we're going to talk about in like these series of videos is attainable and it's stuff that's within reach. Basically, if you want to imagine the rungs on a ladder, so from wherever you are, you want to climb up a rung on the ladder to where it is you want to be. So let me start with the tools that I use and then the method. So the tools I use is a journal. This is a new one I just got. I just went onto Amazon and I wanted something cute. I wanted it to be inexpensive. I paid $20 for this. I think it's adorable. It said leather. I don't think it's leather, but it's some kind of fake leather. It's okay. I love that it has a little key on it. The book you use to write this stuff down has to appeal to you. In the past, I can show you spiral notebooks. I have a whole selection of spiral notebooks, just plain dollar store notebooks that I used as journals to manifest. So this one in case you want to see what it looks like. It's got craft paper in it. For me, no matter that it has craft paper in it. I have terrible handwriting. It doesn't matter what kind of paper is in it. And that's not the point. What I like about these binder type is that even if I don't find the refill paper, I can take regular printer paper, cut it in half, measure it to fit in here, and punch holes in it, and Bob's your uncle. I bought this one because it has the little pockets at the back. It has the dandelions on the front, and it has a little key on the end. So this is what this one appealed to me for that reason. So this is the one I'm going to be using to manifest something new, because I'm feeling like it's time. I am one of those people, I embark on a new adventure frequently. I admit that for me, stagnation is not a good place for me. I admit that I'm one of those people that when the Tower card comes up in a reading, in a tarot reading, I get a little fizzy from it. I think it's because I thrive on change. I thrive on change, basically. I was going to say I thrive on, no, just change. I thrive on change. And the one thing in life that is constant is change. So if you can change your mind about change, it will serve you, especially when it comes to manifesting. All right, so I have my journal. With my journal comes favorite things like a favorite pen to write with, markers, pencil crayons, wax crayons, whatever it is that you need to make this visually your own. I admit I am not, if you're tuning into this and you're expecting to see a really sexy journal, no, that's not me. As artistic as I am, and as creative as I am, and as into aesthetics as I am, when it comes to my journals, they are working, what I like to describe as working documents. So you've probably seen my journal before. Here's an example. This is as pretty as it gets for me. Literally, this was a Christmas card. This is a color printer copy of this card from the Vintage Wisdom Oracle, which I probably should include. I should have included in this. Okay, I will pause and I'll go get it because I need it. So yeah, so this is as pretty as it gets. So you know what I'm saying? It's as pretty as it gets. This is actually what the work looks like in my journal. If you are fluent in more than one language, I suggest you choose one of those. You choose the language that you feel most connected to your source, to God, to your magic. Choose that language to write in. All right. So that's typically what my journals look like. As you saw, it's just writing, ballpoint pen, and that's really all you need. So the point I'm trying to make is that don't get all bogged down in it's got to be pretty and it's got to be magical, it's got to be spooky and it's got to be witchy. No, it does not. It's a working medium. It is a place where you download what's inside you in writing, so that by doing that process, you get what's inside out into the world, into the universe, to the universe. But we're not there yet. Right now we're going to talk about how to start. No one ever talks about how to start. Everyone starts with the next step, which is, vision boards, and which, don't get me wrong, I am not poo-pooing the vision boards and all that stuff, but that's step 2. Writing affirmations is step 2. Creating a vision board is step 2. Planning the future, the life that you want, or what it is you want to manifest, and is step 2. So we're going to start with step 1 today. Now I'm just going to go get something that I forgot, and we'll get to the rest of the tools that I use. And I'm back. Okay, so I just had to go get something that I forgot. So let's talk about the tools that you're going to need. So you're going to want to do, the first thing you want to do is that for this first step in we'll call it a ritual. I don't even know what to call this. Process? If you like calling it a ritual, call it a ritual. If you like calling it a process, call it a process. Whatever it is you like to call it, this is step 1. And step 1 is you gather your tools and you find a place. So you need to find a place in your home where you'll be undisturbed, uninterrupted. Turn off your phone, your computer, whatever it is you need to turn off. Put the do not disturb sign on your bedroom door, whatever it is that you need to do. You do not want to be interrupted for this part. This part can take anywhere, and this also is subjective. This first part can take anywhere from 10 minutes to 10 days. It all depends where you're starting from. So some of the tools that I use, and the reason I'll explain as I go through why I use these tools. So I already mentioned a brand new book, spiral notebook, regular sheets of paper. If you're one of those people that you want to burn it after you're done, you might want to just use sheets of paper. I like a book. I like a book because the coolest thing is years later or whenever later, to go back and read where you were, to then check where you are at that current moment, and how you wrote everything in your book about what in the past, about what your present looks like. Okay. Other tools that I like to use. I'm a candles and incense person. I like to set the mood. I'm a Reiki master. I like to clear the room. I like to I can't balance my chakras sorry, I learned the word chakra in French, so that's why I pronounce it chakra, but in chakra is in it, how you pronounce it, or either way, whatever. Oh my God, people. All right, let's get back to focus, Grace, focus. So I like to set the mood. I can't really balance my chakras when I'm in a state of upheaval, which usually is what brings this on. I find myself in either I'm stagnating, or I find myself in a very uncomfortable situation, and I need to do something. Clearing my chakras, balancing my chakras is not the first thing on my list. So I set the mood. I clear the energy in the room that I'm working in. Or if, I'll talk as though it's me, and then you can apply it to what works for you. So there's candles, incense, whatever I need. If I need the room to be dark, the room is dark. If I need the room to have like sunlight coming through, then I have sunlight coming through. This, to me, is something that is so subjective, but it also depends where I'm at and what I'm needing. I make the environment comfortable. I'm wearing comfortable clothes. I'm drinking a beverage that makes me that comforts me. Right now, I'm drinking mint and lime in bubbly water, in seltzer water. So there's that. So you set the place, you set the mood, and all that. You set time aside to do this work. As I stated about a couple of minutes ago, this can take 10 minutes, this first part, or can take 10 days. You may have to do this multiple times, and that's okay too. Other tools that I use. When it comes to manifesting in the world I live in right now, I use certain tools to first check or diagnose where I'm at right now. So some of the tools I use are also cards. So I brought the decks that I typically use that help me to diagnose how I'm feeling about where I'm at and why I am where I'm at. Always a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. This was Rider-Waite-Smith was my first tarot deck. It is always the one I go to for cartomancy. And yes, it's a for me. Like the Rider-Waite is a predictive. All tarot cards in general are predictive for me, but that's not a conversation for this. But I always need to have familiar symbols. So this is my original Rider-Waite. This is the one that's really muddy, and it has these backs on it, and it has stark white borders on the fronts and the backs. I trimmed the borders right off, and I love it the way it is. I edged mine with antique linen, distress ink, just to match the fronts here. And this is usually the deck that's banging around in my purse. This is the one I carry with me. As a matter of fact, on my work ID, I wear the Ace of Swords behind my photo because of the work that I do that requires mental clarity, and also symbolizes pretty much the act of something that I do at work a lot. So, oh, see, it's right here. So always I will have the deck of cards I'm the most familiar with. For this kind of work, I don't use playing cards. And it's because for me, playing cards are sometimes a little too direct. And if I'm feeling a little tender, if I'm feeling a little shaken, usually I do this kind of work when I'm in a bad situation and I need to get out of it, or that kind of stuff. The playing cards are just too much for me. They're just too direct. They're too blunt. It's the thing with the tarot cards, they are direct and they are blunt, but you need time. It gives you time to process it. If you started with cartomancy, you know what I mean, or if you're one of those people that works with Lenormand, you know what I mean, where there's no buffer, there's no buffering time. It hits you hard with what it has to say, and sometimes it's too much. Another deck, then the tarot decks I like to use are, for this kind of work, is Osho Zen, because this has a very psychological kind of bent to it. So I've been working with this deck for a long time. This is another familiar voice. This deck knows me. This deck calls me out on my shit, just like the Rider-Waite does, because we've been together a long time. But again, just like Rider-Waite, and just like tarot versus playing cards, it gives me a chance to absorb what it has to say. So now, the point of me sharing with you the decks that I use is not for you to go out and buy these decks because this is what you need for this process. It's explaining to you why I use them, because for sure, even if you only have one tarot deck or one oracle deck, if that is the one that you've been working with for so long, that one knows you, and that's what you need to be using. You don't need to be going out and buying another one. Another deck that I find, because I've had it for a few years now, and like Rider-Waite and the Vintage Wisdom Oracle are my workhorses when it comes to reading for other people, for reading for the public. This one, I find it to be incredible. We have a very close relationship. I know what it's trying to tell me. I don't even use the guidebook. I don't even remember I don't even remember when I last opened the guidebook. It's very helpful. And I find that when it comes for the kind of work that I'm going to be talking about, you want to use cards you know very well, because this is the foundation that we're talking about today. Another deck, there's two decks, and there's three that I use, and this has a lot to do with my background. Well, the fact that my practice is informed by Italian folk magic. You know what I mean? It's like I was raised Italian Catholic, and Italian Catholic is like, I've explained in other videos before, it's like I don't go to church or anything like that. I believe in God. I work with saints. I work with the Blessed Virgin. I work with with Jesus and angels and archangels and all that stuff. So, of course, I'm going to need them represented in cards, especially when I'm in a hard place where I need comforting. And many of you are familiar with this tarot deck. For me, is invaluable. And for me, this is I find it's perfectly a tarot deck. Like, all this writing on the bottom is very in line with Rider-Waite-Smith meanings of each of the tarot cards. The images don't always, you can't look at the image and always see the tarot card meaning that it corresponds to, but the writing always does. And this is always one that I turn to, especially when I want to communicate. I want to receive messages from, literally, my guardian angel. Another one I turn to in this process is this one. Now, I apologize. I don't think this one might still be available, like online. And this is because most of I used to have the one by Alana Fairchild, but that one I just couldn't. I tried so hard to connect to that one, and they just didn't work. But these paintings, this art, these artistic renditions of the Blessed Virgin, these are images that I've known my whole life. As a matter of fact, this card is my stalker card from this deck. In 10 times that I pick up this deck, I will get this card every time. Or in 10 times that I pick up this deck, 9 times out of 10, I've actually kept a tally, I'll get this card. So it's interesting, right? So there may be cards in here that don't resonate with me, but it doesn't matter because I've never picked them. Another deck that resonates with me for this kind of work, for manifestation work, especially in this first part of it, which I haven't even talked about yet. It's 23 minutes, but I want to share with you the tools that I use. And I probably should have shared, anyway, doesn't matter. We're rolling. This is it. The next one is this one, Voices of Saints by Lo Scarabeo. This one, I don't know if I'm guessing it's still in print. It's just because of the pandemic that, things are hard to get or whatever. I'm not sure. But this one has 78 saints. It's not a tarot deck. It's an oracle deck. But it has 78 cards. They're numbered, which can add to the whole numerology aspect. It's quite a variety of saints. 78 saints, that's not too bad, right? For variety. So this is another deck that I use a lot. And then two other decks that are newish to me. And I say newish, well, one of them is new to me because I haven't used it for this process yet, but it has been, I have been using this a lot for myself. And it is the Animal Wise Tarot by Ted Andrews. So this is the first edition or the original edition, and now there is one. It's still in print. It's still available. I don't hate that one. I actually have that one as well. It's my backup because the card stock is sturdier than this one, or this one I don't want something bad to happen to it. But because my practice also involves a lot of, it's not just saints and archangels and spirits and all that stuff, but I'm very, very connected to nature and the ground, the land I live on, and this world, the natural animal spirits is very, very strong. It's something that for me, since I've been a child, I've had this connection with animal spirits. So of course I need to have some kind of animal deck involved. And the reason why I chose a tarot is because when the first phase, the diagnostic phase of when you want to manifest something new, it's better to use tarot because tarot is balanced for the diagnosis part. Like, oracles are great and all that, but you need, in the past, I've tried it just with oracle, and no, you need a balance. And the last one is new, which I'm going to be using for my process because we're going to do this together. I'm going to be working on manifesting something for myself while I walk you through how to manifest whatever it is you want to manifest for yourself. The new addition is that I needed a contemporary deck. For the longest time, my Osho Zen was what I considered my contemporary deck. And by contemporary, I mean where you could picture yourself in the current, I could picture myself in the current tense, in the present tense, in this world. But now I finally have my contemporary deck, which works perfectly for me. I don't think I need any other one now after working with this one just a week since I got it. And it's the Gaian Tarot. And this is the French Gaian Tarot, the French translation of the Gaian Tarot. So this is what the backs look like. I don't know what the original Llewellyn looked like, but I love this one. Don't get me wrong. I think I mentioned when I first got this that I don't have a beef with Schiffer. I think Schiffer provides excellent customer service, and I do love the Schiffer decks that I have. But I think there's something. I had the opportunity to get this one in French. I didn't even know it existed until I saw it on Indigo Moon Woman's channel, Diane, and there's something about it that and I'm fluent in French. I grew up in Montreal, so this works for me perfectly. This is my stalker card since I got it. So this is my contemporary deck. So as you see, I have my old favorites, the ones that I understand, like, inside, that I know like the back of my hand. I have the ones that have known me for a long time as well, that I know really well. Oracles that are in line with my spiritual beliefs in terms of saints and the whole Italian folk magic construct. I don't know what else to call it. So now what? I shared with you my tools, so I'm ready. Are you ready? Because I'm going to give you instructions on what you need to do to get started right now. Open up a brand new clean page in whatever notebook or sheet of paper that you're going to be working with. You are going to write a letter, and you could start with Dear Guardian Angel, your basic, or Dear Universe, whatever, Dear God, whatever it is that works for you. Or you don't write it. You don't have to say dear to anybody, or you could write it to yourself. Or you could skip the whole dear whatever altogether. What do you need to write down? You need to describe the current situation you are living. What's really important is you need to be somewhat organized. So we're humans, right? Chances are it's not just your job or lack of a job that's bothering you. You may have a relationship that you're having difficulty with, that's challenging. You may have whatever it is. What's important is that when you can't judge what's important and what's not. You can't judge and say, oh, I'm just going to talk about, it's really important that I find a job, and that's what I need to talk about. When your heart is broken because of a betrayal by a friend or a lover, whatever the situation is. You cannot stage manage any part of this process if you want it to work. If you want results, you can't stage manage any of it. There's no room here for control or controlling any step of this process. So let's start with step 1. Write down your current situation through all 6 senses. Start with what you see, what you're hearing, what you're feeling, like what you're, what you're tasting, what you're hearing, and you're probably sitting there going, what the fuck? Okay, so start with, and I'll give you an example from my life. I was working night shift years ago. I was working night shift and I was pretty much done. And I sat down and wrote down exactly how I was feeling, where the pain in my body was, how I was feeling sick to my stomach, how I was tired of all the little things that were really getting on my nerves about that job. And we've all been there. It's like when you start, and this is something that I learned years ago, when you begin to lose your taste for a situation in your life, it's time to move on. So you need to write down everything that's bothering you. Everything, everything, everything. I hate that I have to get up at X time in the morning. I'm always tired when I wake up. I dread having to go in and do X task. You're basically venting. It's important. You have to vent all this shit. You have to vent all your venom about your situation. You have to vent, and you can't judge, and you can't be judging yourself, because we do that, right? You can't be. You have to write it the way you feel it, and you have to basically just vomit all those horrible feelings, everything. Every little petty thing you cannot stand about your situation has to be on paper. Every little petty thing. Once you do that, you have to make sure that you then go through it, and you probably just described situations and tasks and all that stuff. It's fine. Next, you have to talk. If you haven't done it already, you have to talk about in your writing how you feel. And you have to allow yourself to be vulnerable. No one's going to read this. Doesn't matter. You can write all those horrible things that are in your mind that you would never utter out loud to a single other soul. But you need to write these down. All your venom, you need to write it down. All your scathing comments about people and situations that you've just had enough with. You have to let yourself express your feelings about your situation. And what was very common at this stage is sentences like, I feel stuck, I feel trapped, I feel like a trapped animal, I feel like there's no way out. You need to write this down. And if you find yourself right now listening to me and saying, oh my God, I feel trapped, I feel like there's no way out, I assure you, there is. There is. Right now, just focus on the fact that it's real. You feel trapped and there's no way out. Write it all down. This process could take 10 minutes. You know what I mean? If you're ripe for this download, like if you're ripe for this vent, you could probably get it done in 10 minutes, and it's, you know, it's out of your body, it's out of, you know, you free your mind, you free your body, everything. It's all on paper. If you're a people pleaser, if you haven't been able to suspend judging yourself, it might take you a couple of times doing this to get it all out. If you're someone like me, I sometimes don't really know what my beef is. I sometimes don't really know what I'm pissed off about. I sometimes don't really know why I'm unhappy, why I'm irritated, why I feel stuck. It's just the way I am. I don't always have that self-understanding. So in the past, I've had to do this in, like, you know, multiple sessions, this first part. And then there's other times where I was so ripe. I was so done, so ripe, and where 10 minutes I cleared it out of myself, put it on paper, done, and I was ready for the next step. Right now, because we're doing this together in real time, whenever you're watching this, whether you're watching this right now or whether you're watching this years from now, we're doing this together in real time. I had one session with myself last week where I downloaded all my anger, fears, and all that stuff about the situation that I'm in. And I might need another session, just to, it's like, you know, imagine you're cleaning a house, right? Or you're cleaning a house. It's like I got to do another walk around to see if I left any trash, recycling, anything I don't want behind that I didn't pick up and get rid of. Once you've done your first session, let's say, of writing all this stuff down, you will already feel lighter. Already you will feel lighter. And it is at this point that you want to reach out to your spirit guides, your guardian angel, your ancestors, whoever it is that you work with on a spiritual level. If you haven't worked with any spirits on a spiritual level yet, you might want to start with your spirit guide or guardian angel, because that spirit is there no matter what. You know, everyone's been assigned a spirit guide, guardian angel, whatever you want to call it. This is where you want to reach out to them. And this is where you want to use your cards and ask them, this is the question, okay? Did I miss anything? Because they're there to help you. So use whatever, for this I like to use tarot cards. You use whatever you want. So I'll give you an example of what this looks like. You look at what you wrote, Quiet. Now your mind is like quite. I'll tell you that your mind is already quite quiet once you unload all that garbage, which is what you're doing. Is there anything I missed? So whatever card we get, I'll give you an example of what it could be. So right here, this card would be telling me, well, did you mention how burdened you feel? Did you mention how much you resent the financial burden or the, is it an emotional burden? Is it workload? Is it do you feel defeated? Did you talk about that? This is what this card is about. In terms of like, that's, did I miss anything? Stop, ponder that, and if it does jog your memory of something you forgot to mention, write that down too. There's no limit to any of these steps, but this first one is the most important one. The first one is the one that I look at this card. This is a lot. This is a very common fear for people who are wanting to change their lives or wanting to manifest something better. This right here is, it's too big. It's too big. It's too hard. It's too big. How am I going to turn this ship around? And this is the point where then you're done writing all this stuff. Close your book. I always recommend after doing this kind of work that you either have a nice saltwater bath or Epsom salts, or or a spiritual bath, whatever your beliefs are that makes you feel that you can like cleanse the energy off your body. A shower. A little, what I'm trying to say is you need to do a little body self-care, because now you need to be grounding, because this was all mental, emotional, and spiritual. The work you just did, you need to get back inside your body. And once you're back inside your body, you'll already feel better after you do this, but the whole shower, bath, whatever situation is, do your hair, whatever it is that you need to do to feel human in terms of personal care, self-care, do that right after this exercise, and you will already then you'll feel that lightness, not just in your mind and in your heart and in your soul, but you'll also feel it in your body, because you cleanse your aura by having the shower, the spiritual bath, and so on. Some things that I like to just have a shower with an herbal soap or something that is for me comforting and that I consider cleansing. I know other people like to have a bath with Epsom salts and some lavender and whatever makes them feel comforted and cleansed and cleared. And that's it for the first part. That's all you need to do. So I'm going to leave you with this right now. And next week, we'll recap this part, and then we'll talk about the next step. I hope that I hope my video has been helpful in some way. I'm hoping that there's someone out there who needs this, and I was able to reach you. And please feel welcome to comment in the box below if you have any questions, or if you just want to share what your experience has been by doing this first exercise. Again, doesn't matter what you write it on, just make sure it's a dedicated place. And of course, if you don't live alone, you want to keep it away from prying eyes, because the whole point of this exercise is writing exactly how you feel and exactly what you think. And you may even find it quite harsh what you have to say. All right? Well, I'd like to thank you all for joining me today, and I'm wishing you all a beautiful day.